Ours showed power numbers were down compared to what we would have expected given the bump in crank horsepower. Now, one thing that is different, of course, with these two engines, at least at this time, is the tunability. Obviously, with the Gen 3, you can tune these things at basically whatever power adder you'd like. Not the case here with the 4th Gen Coyote. Where there's a will, there's a way, and knowing the aftermarket, there will be a tune for these things very, very soon. So, transmission-wise, again, not really much has changed from the S550 to the 650. Your manual is still the MT82 and the standard GT, and your automatic is still the 10R80 auto in the automatic equipped GTs. One big thing that is different, however, here between these two gens, hood struts. Now, one area in particular where I feel like these two cars really haven't changed from generation to generation is the side profile. Let me spin you guys around here, give you a better view of what I'm talking about. From the side, these two cars, I think, are extremely similar, not only in shape, but overall dimension. Now, there are some slight changes with these two cars on the rear corner. You can kind of see this one has a little bit more detail, whereas the S650 loses that little line in favor of a slightly larger rear haunch. Ford says that's to give the car a more muscular look overall. Other minor changes here on the side include, yes, I know it's silly, but you got a different 5.0 badge compared to our S550, which is all in chrome there. Of course, you can change out the blackout package, but another notable change for the S650 is even with the base brakes, if you guys can really see that, they've given them some detail here with the lettering, the Brembo logo, and all that stuff. So even though they're both 4 pistons, these guys look very much like a base brake, right? Whereas the S650, even though you're not getting performance pack brakes, you are getting a pretty noticeable increase in appearance. Outside of the front, I'd say the rear end is probably the second biggest change from generation to generation. Really couldn't be any more different, in my opinion here, guys. With the S550, of course, we had the iconic tri-bars done a little bit differently, a little bit more of an angle. Well, with the S650, they've kind of implemented this really radical wedge design here with the deck lid and then incorporated the taillights into that. Now, I know some of you guys are like, oh, it's Camaro. Well, do your homework. Go ahead and Google search a 67 through 68 Mustang for me. And once you do, you'll notice that this kind of inverted taillight design is certainly not new to the rear of a Mustang. But that's neither here nor there. What is new, at least for the S650, is a non-deck lid panel for the first time, gosh, I would say stock, since the 2013-14 GTs that had that piano black look going on. This is something I've gotten very accustomed to with the later S197s, of course, S550s, having that consistent black all the way across. Well, as you can see now, a lot different here with the S650. Now, moving down a little bit more, guys, you'll notice exhaust is a lot different as well. Both base GTs, what you're looking at here. However, the S650, they went back to a single shooter exhaust here for a non-active car, which I think is a little weird. I do really like the rear balance. I think it adds some more muscle to the rear of the car. However, with this base GT, you still got the quad, which I just think looks awesome, even with the non-active car. So I will say from the back, the S550 just looks a lot beefier. I don't know if it's just the way I'm seeing it now, compared to the S650, which looks a little bit leaner, a little bit wider from the rear. One more area to talk about when topping these things. Of course, we have to talk about the changes to the interior. And I would say this is probably the most polarizing part of the changes. And that, of course, is the big switch to a tech-heavy interior or cockpit here with the new S650. Case in point, now you're getting screens everywhere. Now, this is still a base car, so you're still getting a relatively pleasant experience. It certainly feels a lot nicer than the S550 base cars, we'll show you in a minute. Very, very little physical touch points here with the S650. One thing I really do dig, though, is the new steering wheel. I like the flat bottom design. Really like these pads here at 10 and 2. Just feels a lot nicer in the hands to drive. They obviously lowered the vents a little bit here. Shifter is directly from an S550. There is zero changes to that whatsoever. And honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the parking button being right there. It just kind of looks weird to me. But outside of that, you'll notice no double bubble. With the addition of the screens here, Ford has ditched that iconic design for something a little sleeker, basically something to play home to these twin cabins. Well, let's head over to the S550 now and check out that car. All right, guys, stepping into the interior here of the S550 GT, and I will say right off the bat, experience for experience, the S650 just blows this car out of the water. Much more premium feel to it for essentially the same price point, base GT to base GT. Putting aside your personal feelings about those screens, believe me, I hear you. I have a lot of feelings about them, and not many of those feelings are positive. Let's take a quicker look here at the 650. You guys know the deal by now, right? Still got the analog gauges, tiny little screen in the middle. My S550 GT, I have the all-digital dash, which I like. I think that's a good kind of marrying of the new tech with some of the old tech, meaning your analog buttons and push points. Speaking of screens, maybe the smallest screen ever on a modern Mustang here, but as you can see, unlike the S650, your gauges, or your vents rather, are still up top. We're still holding on to that double bubble dash, which is the iconic Mustang look. That does go away in the S650 with those screens. We showed you the shifter. Well, there it is again. As you can see, identical to that of the S650. And then, hey, look at this. Your drift brake. The OG drift brake, right? None of that fancy electronic stuff. I like the physical emergency brake, call me old school. It's those new S650 seats. Really, really big fans of those. Probably some of the most comfortable base seats I've ever sat in. These aren't terrible, but I will say big time improvement over there from the new generation Mustangs. Just breaking down the individual components from seat feel, steering wheel, overall layout, touch points, things like that. I have to give a nod to the S650. All right, guys, so there you have it. What's the verdict? I know my answer, but we want to hear from you. What do you guys think? Is this enough to be a new generation Mustang? Drop us a comment and let us know. Meantime, I'm Justin. Thanks for watching. And remember, for all things Mustang, we're here at AmericanMuscle.com.
Yo, what's up, y'all? So, me being a Mustang owner, it's probably surprising to y'all that I haven't made a video on the S650 yet. And I wanted to wait until I got to see one right in front of me and I was able to compare mine to a new one. This car's already been sold, but I was thinking, since this right here was so perfect and it was the same color as mine, that I do a comparison and let you guys know my thoughts on the S650 compared to how I feel about mine, the S550. Now, in person, it actually doesn't look that bad. Now, when I first seen them, when they first came out, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I wasn't the biggest fan of that 650 Mustang, but when I look at them in person, they do look better. You can see completely different design. This one has got the like 3 tri-bars, and then we've got the light right there, whereas this one is like a 3 light design going across, and then you got the blinkers up top. As y'all can see here, the grill is a lot different, so they still kind of kept the design where you got the fangs in front. You can see on mine, you got 2 fangs, and then you got the pony in the middle. But this one's kind of like a open. So this one's a little bit more open. As you can see, it's like an opening on both sides. I'm not gonna lie, I'm still looking at it in person. I'm still not the biggest fan of it. But let's move to the side, right? So this one's kind of got like some base model wheels. I don't like these wheels at all, but as y'all can see, Brembos come standard now in every 5.0, which I like a lot. Whereas on this one, Brembos came only on the performance package like I have. So these ones are a lot bigger, I think, than mine is. Look at this caliper. Look how big that caliper is. It takes up pretty much like the whole wheel. And mine doesn't take up as much at all. I'm not sure, but these calipers are definitely way bigger than this one. If you look at the calipers, it says Brembo all the way across on mine, whereas on this one it says Mustang, and then it says Brembo, which I actually like a lot too. But looking at the wheel design, not my favorite, but the performance category is a lot better than this. If I was to get a S650, definitely would get the performance pack. But there's no performance packs out here. There's another S650 over there, which is a convertible, but we don't care about convertibles on this channel. So let's look at the 5.0 badge. I did notice the 5.0 badge looks definitely different. So this 5.0 badge kind of reminds me of the Fox Body 5.0 badge, where it's a little bit thicker. The font is a little bit more pronounced. And if you look at mine, it's a little less pronounced and it doesn't have a border around it. So if you look at mine, it's kind of more like a solid 5.0. And then this one has like a border around it and it has like lines through it. Kind of reminds me of like the old school Fox Body 5.0. Back, we got the same arch design that we get on the S550. This one's a little bit farther out. I think that's why people call it a Camaro, because this area right here does kind of look like a Camaro, but whereas this one's a little bit more sleek in design. But it doesn't look bad. Let's compare the backs. So this is where the S650 kind of lost me. The back of the S550 looks way better to me personally than the back of the S650. So if we look here, the S550 has a black deck lid, right? Black GT, but also has a black deck going across. And then we got the 3 tri-bars that fit inside of the deck lid. It's black, and then you get this black part. I love that design that they made for the S550, where the deck lid is black. And if you look at the S650, the lights have black around them. These ones are a lot more curved. So, I mean, if you catch that curve right there, look at that angle. It's a much different angle, whereas this one's a little bit more straight. I don't like how the deck lid is body colored. That's what threw me off on this car. The deck lid being body colored to me, I don't like it. I think it should be black, just like that one. This one has the single tip exhaust, which is weird to me that on the GTs of the refresh, 2018 and up, well, 2018 to 2023, all of the Mustang GTs came with a quad tip exhaust. For some reason, they went back to what they did on the previous generation of the S550 pre-refresh and gave it single tips like mine has. But this whole thing is plastic, and that is just disgusting to me. If you look at mine, right? Both of these are premium models. But if you look at mine, right? The rear diffuser, yeah, it has plastic around here, but then you got this painted part right here of the diffuser, which was body colored and kind of meshed with the whole rear end way better. But if you look at this one, the whole thing is black plastic. And it kind of just looks so cheap compared to mine, where mine has paint down there. It looks like they put a little more effort into it. This one's just all plastic. It's just really ugly. And the fact that they put the single tip design for GT is terrible. I think they should have just left on every GT and just gave the even the single tips like they used to do on the S550 refresh model. Every GT came with quads. Kind of weird to me that you only get quads with the active exhaust, but I'm sure it's for money reasons. Like everything. You look on the interior, again, I'm not going to open the door, but you can see this is a manual. The new interior, you got screens across the whole thing. This one has a white interior and it's leather, so that's how I can tell that it's a premium. But it doesn't have the drift brake option. It has the electric parking brake, white stitching everywhere, which is cool. And then you got the faux carbon fiber on the steering wheel, faux carbon fiber on the dash. But other than that, the doors look pretty much the same as the S550. The center console looks the same as S550. The biggest difference really is just the dash with the screens and the steering wheel, which I really like the steering wheel. And now let's look at the rear brakes. These ones are a lot bigger. The rear brakes are definitely much bigger. They're also a Brembo design now on the rear, whereas on this one, no, it's not a Brembo. I'm wrong, but these are bigger for sure. Just looking at the caliper sizes, these are bigger. It looks like they coated these ones in like a silver or something like that, but mine might have been like that when it was new. If you're asking me what I think, I do like the car. I don't hate it. Really, I don't think I would trade my car in for one unless it was a dark horse or it was a performance package. The performance packages look way doper than these because it has the longer front lip or splitter like mine does, and the rear spoiler that sits up a little higher. One thing I didn't
We know you'll be proud of what you drive, but oftentimes finding the right parts can be frustrating and confusing. That's why for over 35 years, CK 20 Parts provides millions of customers around the world. Top 20 Parts guidance for your needs. Yeah.
There's a performance down here. Triple 7 performance. And we've got a dark horse here. And we're throwing it on the dyno. And the coolest part is it's a stick shift. You see all the automatics, not full break-in. You guys have been on call before. Yeah, I mean, we've drifted on the odometer. And the big thing we noticed is throughout the first 500 miles, 100, 300, 500 mile markers, crazy difference in terms of power. Everybody